been widely speculated that former President Donald Trump is considering Marjorie Taylor Greene or even Carrie Lake as the frontrunners for his running mate. However, on yesterday's edition of the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, Trump threw out a surprising curveball for who could be his vice president. Why don't we take a listen?
Would you consider Tucker Carlson on your VP list?
Oh, wow. I did my first, you could call it counter-programming, but I won't call it that. But Tucker wanted to do an interview during the first debate. And I think you know, because this is what your business is, we broke every record.
Monster audience.
In history, yeah. I think it just hit over 300 million people.
Would you consider Tucker, though, that they based on those numbers?
I like Tucker a lot. I guess I would. I think I'd say I would, because he's got great common sense. You know, when they say that you guys are conservative or I'm conservative, it's not that we're conservative. We have common sense. We want to have safe borders. We want to have a wall because walls work. You know what, Ron, I used to say about walls? I'd say wheels and walls. Everything changes. The only two things for centuries that's not obsolete are wheels and walls.
He went on about wheels and walls.
Yeah, I'm going to come back to that. It was hilarious.
Okay, but I also want to just say, please ask Tucker Carlson to be your running mate, please. You want to know why I'm saying that? Because Tucker Carlson despises him. And I'm so curious to see what would happen. If Tucker says no, he's going to have to deal with Trump's wrath, okay? If Tucker says yes, he's going to have to deal with Trump's wrath.
Yeah. He would definitely say yes. And then Trump, you should watch your back. Okay.
I mean, no, Tucker, you should watch your back. What are you talking about?
That would be a wonderful mess. I don't know that you could fire the vice president, but I bet that Trump would try.
Oh my God. So look, why do I say Tucker despises him? Well, because of the Dominion defamation lawsuit against Fox News and because of the discovery process in that lawsuit, we were able to get an inside look into the mind of Tucker Carlson and how he actually feels about Donald Trump. And so in various messages to his producers and other hosts over at Fox, he disclosed quite a bit. Here's a few examples. We're all pretending we've got a lot to show for it because admitting what a disaster it's been is too tough to digest, but come on. There really isn't an upside to Trump. Oof. Here's another one. And this is after the presidential election, the 2020 presidential election. We are very, very close to being able to ignore Trump most nights. I truly can't wait. I hate him passionately.
Trump is such an interesting cat because he's so transactional. I'm sure he saw those quotes because any negative quotes about him he sees immediately and is furious about. But the minute that Tucker went on air and started kissing his ass again, he thought, good boy, good boy. Okay,
totally, yeah.
Now I'm fine with Tucker. Now, I don't care what he actually thinks about me, but go out and do that propaganda and I get to know I made him heel. And that's fair, that's fair. We know who the alpha is. Tucker's his little boy.
Everyone, and I dare say even Tucker, has a red line. So I remember thinking William Barr will do anything Donald Trump wants. And then Donald Trump tried to basically reverse the results of the 2020 presidential election. William Barr wasn't willing to play ball. And if I remember correctly, he resigned before the term was up, right? And so everyone's got their red line. Obviously, former Vice President Mike Pence, he had his red line. I don't know what Tucker's red line would be, but let's say in a scenario where Donald Trump wins the 2024 presidential race and Tucker Carlson happens to be his VP, Trump is gonna ask him to do all sorts of terrible, terrible things. And so what is his red line?
Don't make me root for it, man.
No, come on, we all know it. We all know it.
He's gonna walk him around in a leash.
Because oh my God. And then Ray Chick is gonna have to do a libs of TikTok thing about it, you know, like look at this kink stuff that's going on in the executive branch, it's unacceptable. Anyway, but putting that aside, I don't know what would happen, but I'm so curious about it, right? So the other thing that I'll say is we want you to weigh in on this because we are curious what you think, okay? We have a poll, so tyt.com/polls to participate. And our big question is out of the 5 most likely candidates for the position, who do you think is likely to win, right? Who do you think Trump will choose as his VP out of the following options? You've got Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Greene, Carrie Lake, Vivek Ramaswamy, who's running as Trump light at the moment, and then Tim Scott. And I'll explain why Tim Scott is on that list in just a moment. But before I do, Cenk, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so first of all, the links are always in the description box, so easy to click the link, go there, tyt.com/polls, and participate in all of them. In this case, you see the URL there. Okay, so he's not gonna pick Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, he likes people who'll support him and be quiet and not outshine him. Tucker has a small chance of outshining him, so he'd never do it. I think he's gonna pick Carrie Lake, but I'm curious what you guys think. But I also want to talk about Wheels and Walls real quick.
Yes, finally, thank God.
Okay, so he goes on, they're like, so would you pick Tucker? He's like, Tucker, just common sense conservative. And then Wheels and Walls, and he gets distracted. Like he talks about Tucker Carlson for like 10 to 12 seconds. And then he talks about Wheels and Walls for like 2 minutes.
But he was right about Wheels and Walls.
No, but that's the hilarious part. At the very end of the segment, so he's like, walls always work. They say they don't like walls, but walls always work. Like for example, Nancy Pelosi, she's got walls. And well, it didn't work in that case. But still, you're like, what? Why did you bring that up? Like that's like the perfect example of a wall not working. He has verbal diarrhea, he just can't help himself. Just complete train of thought, no strategy, no nothing.
All right, now let's get to Tim Scott. Okay, why is Tim Scott in our poll? Why are we asking whether Tim Scott even has a possibility of being chosen as VP? Something happened during the 3rd GOP primary debate that was so jarring to me, I would be shocked if anyone missed it. And it was the incessant talk of religion and Jesus, okay, coming from Tim Scott. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, here's a compilation to give you an idea.
It is the loss of faith in this nation that is a part of the erosion that we're seeing every single day. It's restoring faith, restoring our Christian values that will help this nation once again become the city on the hill. America does not work without a faith-filled Judeo-Christian foundation. Proverbs 22:7 reminds us that the borrower is slave to the lender. We should reject the left's valueless, faithless, fatherless society. We should turn back to faith, patriotism, and individual responsibility. If God made you a man, you play sports against men.
God, Jesus, prayer, like endlessly. Every answer he used as an opportunity to inject religion into what he was saying. And it was so different from, he mentioned religion in previous debates, but not to that extent. And so what changed? Mike Pence was the religious one on that debate stage. Mike Pence is gone now, right? He dropped out of the race. And why would Tim Scott use this messaging knowing full well that the country has really moved away from organized religion? Could it be that he knows Donald Trump still needs to appeal to those evangelical voters and he's raising his hand to say, I'll be your huckleberry?
100%. So especially in Iowa. Iowa is where Pat Robertson won and Rick Santorum did well, and they used the evangelical base to propel themselves and make themselves real candidates. And so Tim Scott's out of money and he stopped running ads, and it looked like he was almost out of the race. But when Mike Pence dropped out, he's like, oh, okay, now I was already kind of religious, and now that Mike Pence, the most religious guy in the race, dropped out, I'm gonna grab that evangelical base and try to do well in Iowa, and hopefully that'll be a springboard for me to do better in other places. It is so much so that he finally brought out his girlfriend at the end of the debate.
We've got a video of that. And maybe you'll see why Cenk used the air quotes when you watch. Let's take a look.
You've told so much of your personal story. You've shared your family, you've shared your faith. We see this video that we have up right now that you were seeing on stage at the end of the debate with a woman. We understand now that this is your girlfriend, Mindy. There's been a lot of buzz on the trail about her. Just give us a sense of who she is and why you brought her tonight.
Well, she was at my kickoff when I announced my candidacy back in May. So the good news is that we continue to have a healthy relationship. We thankfully both love the Lord and have a healthy respect for one another. And I tell you, we have a lot of fun together.
Totally, that's how my husband talks about me too. We have a lot of fun together.
Yeah, okay, look, so she was at my campaign launch, so I have her on tape, and that's why we chose her to be the beard. I mean,
it's so transparent, Cenk.
It's so obvious. He said, we've been going out for about a year or so. I forgot what we're made up. Okay, so I'll just give you a vague date on it. Guys, if you don't know the backstory on this, Tim Scott has been a lifelong bachelor, and no one has ever seen him with a girlfriend ever. And he's been in politics a long, long time. And so when he got on the campaign trail for the first time, he started talking about, yeah, man, I'm dating someone, yeah. Oh no, I just don't want to show her publicly, right? But now that he's trying to cement the evangelical base, he has to address this, because even some of his donors are like, well, I don't know if I want to give to you because I'm worried that you might be gay. And remember,
it's so awful.
Remember, we all hate gays, right? So if you want my money, you better show me a girlfriend. So at the end of the debate, he's like, okay, come on stage for no reason. No, come on the stage, right?
It's so bad. It's so bad. Look,
he's like, here I am with a girl. You see, she is my girlfriend of about a year or so. I have her on tape somewhere else with me. Bruh.
You know, I'm hoping that we just have terrible, cynical hearts, and they really are a couple, and they really are in love. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
And then if that does come out to be true, then you guys can get mad at us for having the cynical hearts that we do. But it does appear like a stunt, right?
Yeah, I mean, really, after Pence drops out, and you mentioned Jesus 200 times in the debate, that's the one time that we see your girlfriend in your entire career.
Convenient timing.
Yeah, exactly. Unbelievable. So guys, this isn't about Tim Scott. I don't care if he's gay or straight, who cares?
We don't care at all.
At all,
right,
at all. Like, and by the way, including if he's straight, so great, he's straight, who cares, right? So the reason why we care about it is, one, politicians are unbelievable liars. Like, just, God, it's so gross. Everything's manufactured, everything's phony, right? And then the second reason is, it tells you way more about the Republican Party than it tells you about Tim Scott. That if you're running for president as Republican, you have to at a minimum pretend to be straight. And
that's awful.
And it is, it's awful. And that's the party. Be honest about it, that's why he's doing it.
Right, but let's also be clear, we do not know for sure what his sexual orientation is, so he could be telling the truth. I want to put that out there.
Yeah.
We're just giving you our suspicions.
And if it turns out, by the way, that he was straight and he was just like an incredibly private guy, well, that's okay, sure, but that's the problem with politicians. They're such phonies, it's near impossible to believe them on anything, right?
Yeah.
So that's why when you magically come up with a girlfriend for the first time in your life, we think, if he was like a plumber, nobody would question. They'd be like, oh, okay, so Timmy got a girlfriend. Good job, Tim, right? Took you 40 some odd years, but good for you, right? But since he's a politician, no one believes him. If you enjoyed this video, that's because of our members. They make us independent, they make us strong, and they make us honest. Become a member today by hitting the join button below.